Just have no idea. If you would have told me 100 years, like a parrot, I would have said, okay.
How do you know there's not one who's 31? How do you know?
No, maybe there is. Smoking and drinking in the middle of the night. What do we know? Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Max Scherzer is skeptical, Kirk Cousins is a backup, and Tim Legler is joining us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with Luka Doncic getting a triple-double last night, 19 points, but only on 6 of 17 shooting. 15 rebounds, 12 assists, as his new team, the Lakers, beat his old team, the Mavericks, in Los Angeles. Afterwards, Doncic said, quote, "I'm just glad it's over, honestly." Wilbon, what aspect of last night's game stands out to you?
All right, Tony, I know you're going to think I'm being a contrarian, and I'm not trying to be that, because I turned in, like everybody else, to see LeBron and Luka. I did. And I wasn't disappointed on any level. But what stands out to me as somebody who watches way too much basketball in his life, every year, forever, was the Dallas Mavericks and Kyrie Irving, and how they're holding that together, hopefully until they get Anthony Davis back and other people, but primarily Anthony Davis. And so I don't know if they can do that, because Davis, there was one headline down in Dallas that said, Anthony Davis is 2 weeks away from being 2 weeks away. And you don't know how that is with the situation. Right. But I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed with what Jason Kidd has done there. I know the home fans cheer them wildly in the building, but there's been a malaise about town throughout North Texas after trading Luka, and those guys have had to find their own motivation. And I'm just very impressed with the Mavericks and trying to hold on and claw until they get these guys back. And so, Luka and LeBron, they're great and they'll be better, but I was impressed with the Mavericks last night.
Yeah, I'll tell you what stood out to me. I didn't watch the game live because the 10:15 start is way too late for me. When I looked at it this morning, I saw that the Dallas GM, Nico Harrison, was sitting in the stands watching the game.
He was.
And in the middle of the first quarter, Laker fans started an impromptu cheer. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Nico. So he can remember that when he gets fired for making this insane trade. He can at least feel comforted that some group of fans is happy with this trade. Mike, the Lakers are 15-4 in their last 19 games. And what I'm going to say here does not apply strictly to Luka, because Luka's games, they're 3-2 in Luka's games. So it's not just about him. They were a terrible defensive team last year. They had a rating of 115.3, which was 16 out of 30th. In these last 20 games, Mike, their rating is 110.4. So it's number one. It's the best defensive ranking in the league. They just held a team to under 100 points. They're better. And I'm thinking, Mike, that some of the credit's got to go to JJ Redick.
Absolutely.
Because they're transformed,
Tony,
it appears.
two things. Credit to JJ Redick, but also credit to LeBron. This whole thing seems to have energized him. There have been some possessions where LeBron looked like he did on defense 5, 7, 10, 12, 15 years ago, where key plays, and I know anybody 40 has got to regulate a little bit. LeBron's got to pick some spots. Even as great as he is, he got to pick his spots. But he's been picking them brilliantly, defensively. And, of course, everything on that team takes its cue, not from Luka yet, from LeBron. They have been great defensively. They're impressive, period. 1 year after the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins to $100 million in guarantees, his future with the franchise feels vague. Yesterday at the Combine, head coach Raheem Morris and GM Terry Fontenot both said the Falcons were unaware Cousins had throwing arm injury down the stretch, which Cousins recently announced. Right now, the team plans to go with Michael Penix as a starter, Cousins as the backup. How does this situation sound to you, Tom?
It sounds impossible. It sounds untenable. It sounds like there's mutual distrust. Cousins is saying, I got hurt, and the Falcons are saying, we didn't know he got hurt. How is that possible? He didn't tell them? He didn't go in for therapy? He hid his injury? Or are they saying something to intimate that he's lying about his injury? Because if that's what they're intimating, then they don't want him on the field and they don't even want him in the locker room. And if he feels that they are saying something that is not true, he's not going to want to play for them. This is a classic cover your behind situation. And you know what's going to happen, Mike? They're all in for Penix now. And all they got to worry about is money. How much money do they owe him that they have to pay him? And how much dead money on a cap hit are they going to get? They will try to trade him. Nobody will go for the trade. So they'll pick out the one day in the calendar that is least onerous on the cap hit, and they'll release him that day.
Tony, I'm not going to disagree with any of that, but nobody held a gun to anybody's head in Atlanta's executive offices and told the Falcons to give up $100 million guaranteed money to a quarterback coming off a real injury. What? So, cover your blank is exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
But this is they did this. It's not like they inherited the team. Like they just sort of showed. They knew he was coming aboard. They knew what you like this. They knew what was happening. So when they drafted Penix, the whole thing just seemed weird. It seemed weird. You're going to spend $100 million in guarantees, and you're going to spend a pretty high pick, whatever it was, in the top 10 where Penix went, and use it on a quarterback. The whole thing was just bizarre. And this continues. This is a new chapter, and another calendar years we flip the page in bizarre.
Yeah, it's completely untenable. Let's move to my favorite Warrior guard, Max Scherzer, who made his debut for the Blue Jays yesterday, throwing 2 innings, 34 pitches, 20 strikes, 4 strikeouts. Scherzer was on the wrong side of 2 pitch challenges, though, and talked about the robocall experiment, saying, quote, "I'm a little skeptical on this. I think Major League umpires are really good. We know there are going to be strikes change to balls, and balls change to strikes. We're going to basically be even. Are we actually going to improve the game? I don't think so. We're humans. Can we just be judged by humans?" Unquote. Wilbon, does Scherzer make a compelling argument?
Not really. I get it, and I might even agree with him. Compelling, to me, is one of those Perry Mason arguments where you just beat down Hamilton Burger and you say, okay, sit down, because this argument wins the day. I don't know that we're there, Tony. I think this is muddied now. By the way, Mark Maskey of the Washington Post, among others, reporting that the NFL is going to go to an automated first down. So the chain gang might be out there, but on first downs, they're going to go to automation. So this is coming, and I don't think that Max Scherzer, and you know I like Scherzer nearly as much as you do, maybe not as completely, because my favorite Warrior god right now is Jimmy Butler. Dun-dum-dum. So I don't know that this argument's going to sway anything. You know what I mean? That would be compelling. It's going to sway nothing, Tone. The whole world is going that direction.
Yeah, Max Scherzer's 40 years old. He spent the last 18 years of his life having balls and strikes called by human beings. Okay, what he's really doing, and he's very comfortable with that, he's trying to get a human out there so that when he hits his spot with a pitch and it's a little off, the ump is going to say strike because he's seen what Scherzer can do. He doesn't want change. Old people don't want change. I don't want any change.
Agreed.
He didn't like the pitch clock. Scherzer and Verlander and Kershaw, they don't want anything new
sort of with
because
them.
the old stuff is what's getting them into Cooperstown. I'm fine with robocalls. I'm fine with that. And because I think that fans will like it. I think they'll be right more often than they're wrong, and there's only 2 a game. Scherzer will adjust to it, Mike. It's not aimed at his generation. It's into the NBA with our great friend, ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler. Let's start with this, Tim. The Lakers have won 15 out of 19. Wilbon and I spent a lot of time talking about Luka and LeBron. Can you tell us what you specifically noticed about the way JJ Redick is coaching these people on this team?
I think one of the things that's been most impressive for me about JJ is that he's got a veteran team. He's a first-time head coach. He's a young head coach, and he coaches them hard. And he has an edge to him and an intensity